Glad to have you back. The year 2020 can't be forgotten so soon. Yes, as the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted global financial markets at unprecedented levels. Some investors gained as they took the right bets and emerged with high returns. Others were taken by the storm and recorded huge losses. Amid uncertainty surrounding the economies in the wake of its relapse into recession for a second time in 5 years, the Nigerian economy over the years has been striving to be stable. However, the recent recession compounded Nigeria's social-economic challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, post-Ash and SARS protests and violence that followed afterwards, amongst other factors. Investors moved towards the equities market in search of high yields as the all-share index increased by 30.15% since January 2020. I have joining me live in studio. He is a stockbroker. He's a financial analyst. He's also a friend of the house, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed. Thank you very much for your time.
It's good to see you back, Tolu.
Thank you very much. At least some time to rest. And the discussion continues. During that break, we went into recession. I was so worried. I said, I'm going to come back to so much work, and that's what we're facing now. Yeah. Now, one thing is that what's happening in the economy seems to be different from what's happening in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. What is happening that it seems to be most of the time on the positive side?
Well, like you know, that I said that the stock market has a life of its own. Sometimes a dynamic life, and sometimes there are equities. It's just like in the midst of an economy, you see there's recession. Some people are still doing very well, and some people are doing poorly. So that's the same thing with the stock market. I think the stock market has a life of its own in terms of the companies that are listed there. Some companies do very well during recession. Some companies don't do very well during recession. So it's not left for investors to really know which place to pitch his tent. So you said it in your introduction, low yield in fixed income, treasury bill, fixed deposits. So that drive a lot of investors into the equity market. We saw the market rally. Nobody expected that the market would have done about 30%. And presently, it's like it's the best year the market have ever had for a very long time, after 2008. So after 2007. So yeah, the economy sometimes, what is called bad news in terms of recession, is good news for any investors in the equity market, because sometimes it opens up an avenue of opportunities for new investors and then for potential investors and for those investors that are already there to begin to make more leeway into the market and make more profit.
During the lockdown, we know that manufacturing, there was disruption, so I don't think, but now the manufacturing sector is still doing pretty well. In consumer goods, banking stocks, we always agree that they are very, very liquid. Let's just talk a little bit around sectors. What's playing out? What's responsible for all of these positives?
Okay, let's really talk about sectors. Insurance sector has not been doing very well.
Thanks to very well. All of the
because then again, the NSAS came. People feel a lot of insurance companies will be paying a lot of premium, so investors are worried about that sector. The consumer goods sector, yeah, during recession, that's a sector that is highly hit because a lot of people don't have money again, low money in the economy, so that will affect their bottom line. There will be readjustment in terms of what you have at home, what you want to buy, what you don't want to buy again. So the consumer goods sector is always hardly hit when it comes to during time of recession. Now, what makes it different now is that we had a lockdown. Then we had a sector that did not contribute so much during the lockdown. Then we have the opening up in the third quarter, and we had a sector that contributed, and the manufacturing sector was among the sector that really gained during the third quarter of the year, even from the statistics from the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics. And from the data from the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, they were the one that really gained very well. So that plays a positive part in the type of growth you see in that sector going forward. But then, when you look at the long-term future of that sector, with recession in now, with consumer spending capability going down, that sector is one of those sectors that will be highly hit during the times of recession, because we are going to see a lot of companies come up with their result Fortunately for us, we don't think this recession will last too long, not because we're going to do anything spectacular, not because the government is going to put in any strategy in place. It's just because that it will look like the oil price will definitely move up. And we have a benchmark of about $38, $39 per barrel by the budget, and we have an oil price that's already itching towards 48, 45, 46, 47. So that alone will get us out of recession. It's not that we are going to do anything fantastic.
Mukhtar, they've always been very blunt. Truly, because I also wanted to touch on that vaccine development seems to have helped, is helping the oil market at the moment, and is also building that confidence, even the global market. So as we continue to see this positive from the oil price, you're saying that apart from Nigeria, could it also help spur growth globally?
Definitely, definitely. Unfortunately, we're not seeing this global because of the type of surge that we're seeing in countries, especially the United States of America and the United Kingdom. And so we might not see that. But again, when you look at the type of lockdown that is happening there in the UK compared to the previous lockdown that was total, we really realize that the government all over the world have just known that you cannot totally lock up the economy any longer. True. So they are trying to put in measures in place, trying to make social distancing, wash your hand, wear masks. We had the incoming president of the United States of America said once he comes into power, make sure that all Americans must wear masks for 100 days. So that is also trying to open up, not to shut down the economy, but looking at means by and via the vaccines. So we're seeing those positivity because we are seeing leadership come into play. We are seeing now, finally, it's not the normal America alone, America. Now we're beginning to see America want to step up and become the leader that they had to do in times of crisis. So that will spur a lot of positive growth. And the EU also are happy that an American president is coming and is saying, look, you are our normal ally. You have been our ally. We will definitely come back to the table. So all that is adding. It's not that there's no challenges in terms of lockdown. Italy is having a lockdown. Yeah. Spain, there's lockdown. France, there's lockdown. There's surge in the pandemic. But again, what is happening now is that government all over the world are saying, look, you can't just totally lock down the economy. So we must find a way to make sure activities move.
So that's clear. Are you saying that what you're saying, what's happening in America, will also affect all of the global trade issues we've been having between China, United States, and are you saying Joe Biden coming to get things better, all-inclusive governments? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think Joe Biden will get things better with Chinese. I think even the Chinese know that it might even be tougher between Joe Biden and the Chinese government because, you see, when you look at the Trump administration was like, it was a one-man squad. He was fighting China directly. Yep. China, you can bring this, you can bring this. He was not interested in what EU is doing. He was not interested in what the UK is doing. He's not interested in what any other trading partner had with the Chinese. He was more interested in what the Chinese and the United States have together. Now, Joe Biden is going to come in and he's not going just to attack China as a single entity. He's going to get the confidence, he's going to get the support of his allies. He's going to get the EU to come to his side. He's going to get some other Asian countries that are not going to come to our side. Let us wage this war against the Chinese. So the Chinese will not just be fighting one country, they will be fighting a lot of countries. So I think it's going to be tougher for the Chinese this time. But beyond that, you see Joe Biden trying to make sure there is a dialogue. I think that's going to be the difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. He's going to open up a little bit for dialogue, but yet he's going to hit China with his allies, not just the United States hitting China alone.
No, but back to our end here, talking about recession and the effect. You just talked about crude oil price being on the positive side and what that could actually impact of us exiting recession. But I also look at the monetary and the fiscal side, which remains very important. The central bank governor, during his speech over the weekend, last weekend, he said they've been able to impact the economy's GDP at about 3.5% of GDP. A lot of money has been thrown into all of this. We know all of the fundings coming out from all angles. But are you seeing the fiscal side consolidate this? Because it's a two-way thing. It can't just work one way. Just yesterday, the remittances and all of that, CBN is trying to make that easier just to be able to defend the Naira and make sure our reserves don't deplete further.
I think, unfortunately, where we are today economically, it's just been the monetary policy that has been doing all the work.
That's what everybody's saying.
That's also the truth. The monetary policy has been, if not for the kind of monetary policy team that we have, the CBN, you have to give them kudos, even if you think in some way they should have done better. But they have really done, they've really come into steady state. Look, we're in this President CBN government came into power. I remember the time, not long after he came in, we had the Naira to the dollar exchanges on almost 500. He came in, they sat down with his team, they came up with a strategy called the import-export window. And we saw the Naira came down to about 360 for a very long time before the pandemic came in and then obstructed that flow. Now, what are they doing now? They are looking again now. This time again, they're not looking at this diaspora funding, diaspora remittance that is coming. But I have my reservation with that because even the diaspora funding that is coming, you can't get the type of funding that you used to get before because they also are suffering from their own economic issues. So the diaspora funding might not come in like that. But then, like the CBN governor said, it will ease the pressure in the exchange rate because what we see is that most people, because of the type of strenuous measure put in place by the CBN, don't want their money to go through the normal banking sector. So they find each way, or one way or the other, to make sure this money comes in and then find their hands in other sectors, and then that alone costs a lot of pressure on the Naira. Now, the fiscal side, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to provide infrastructure. Unfortunately, they don't have the resources to provide that infrastructure. Then, secondly, again, they're supposed to provide jobs. They've not been able to provide those jobs because it's when you have infrastructure, when you build infrastructure, then you try to encourage SMEs. Then again, the physical side is doing a lot of lending, trying to lend. Even CBN has gone above their conventional measure by trying to directly intervene into sectors. That's not the work of the CBN. So, but the CBN is saying that, look, we are handicapped, we have to do something. So they are using an unorthodox means trying to help the company. So the fiscal policy has to come up. It's not just making us feel that we're going to create 100 million jobs. We need to see those jobs in place. We need to see structures being put for those jobs to be created. For now, I don't think we have those structures.
On the final note, inflation is on the high side. We've talked about monetary and fiscal side interventions that we want from them. We've seen what's happening with farmers. Look at what happened recently at Borno and all of these effects on inflation as we expect the figures to come out. All are saying that what we might see as we get to the end of the year might be so high when it comes to inflation. Let's round up on that note.
Look, with inflation, you never can say, because when it comes to inflation, the CBN is trying to use what we call a double barrel. If CBN is able to call the tails in terms of the exchange rate volatility, because most of the product that comes into Nigeria are almost imported into our country. So when we are able to tackle that exchange rate volatility, that will definitely indirectly tackle up inflation and bring down price of some goods and services in the short term, and then we could see the effect probably very soon in the long term. So I think that's what they will do for now, and that's what the CBN government is trying to do. But to say that we won't have those challenges, we will see those numbers comes in the fourth quarter. Inflation figure may get high, but no need to panic, because if the CBN gets it right in terms of how to make sure that the exchange rate resume have that convergence and not this volatility that we see. But we see the exchange getting to as low as between 392, which is their own rate, and then 400, 420, 425. Yeah, then we're going to see a little bit of inflation coming down in the first quarter. And by the time we exit recession, and by the time, because of the oil price, with diaspora remittance, with our foreign reserve robust, we might see inflation come down drastically in the second quarter. So no need to panic.
Mukhtar Mohammed, it's always nice talking to you. And we'll also be here to also break all of this down when all of these figures come out. And let's hope that they are looking good at all of that time. Thank you, Mukhtar Mohammed. Brilliant submission as usual when we have you on the show. I must appreciate you and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, Tolu. It's always a pleasure being with you.